All right, so for this episode, we're working with Hexadec. Hexadec, I think, peaked at 3,800 SR, something like that, a little higher maybe. He had a big losing streak, dropped to Diamond, and this was his game where he actually climbed back into Masters. And before we start, before we review this video, I just want to kind of ask you about sort of what are your goals as a player? What do you want to achieve in Overwatch? What do you want to reach? What level do you want to reach? And also, what do you think? Sort of your so two things. What do you think is the biggest thing behind that losing streak that you had that brought you back to Diamond? And also, what do you think in general your biggest weaknesses are that you kind of want to work on?
Okay. Uh, for the first part, like where I want to go as high as I can. Like I want to get as good as I can and if possible, get to the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I started out very low and have been grinding and getting better over time. And I just want to keep trying to see how far I can get.
How long have you been playing?
I started about around the first anniversary of it, I think, so 2 years.
Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay.
And you also asked about what I think made me drop so far. First of all, I played 3 games against Yeetle Smurf, so that was fun. But honestly, the games there that I was winning to get up to my peak of around 3,800, I didn't feel like I was playing that well and felt like I was just getting lucky with the matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, I'd had some bad games, but it was generally a better comp experience than average. And then reality came back and I started losing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I use like a tracker thing, and it wasn't a lot of back and forth. It's like 4 game win streaks, 4 game losing streaks, just like streaks down.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest weakness is I think I've been getting better about positioning, but that's probably still pretty bad. I think ability usage, especially on Ana, is definitely a weak point, and like awareness in game. I tunnel vision a lot.
Mm-hmm. Um, what about attitude wise? Do you think you have a healthy attitude when you play?
Um, on a yes, until I get tilted. Like usually, I don't blame things on my teammates too much. Like I might complain about getting bad teammates, like most people do, but I realize that everyone does that, so it's something about my play making me lose when I do. So I know that I need to work on more to get that better.
Mm-hmm. And how easily do you get tilted?
Maybe a bit easier than average, but I'm not like
Mm-hmm.
a like big rager.
Uh,
Just kind
in terms of your Zen and Ana play, which do you feel most comfortable on?
of, it's kind of gone back and forth. I have more time on Zen, and I think I'm probably the better Zen, but then there are some days where I don't feel like I'm doing a lot on Zen, and then like a game I'm playing Ana, I get a ton of healing and land the sleep. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm relatively equal on both.
Okay, so yeah, I think you're pretty self-aware. I think in terms of your issues. If you go to Aggie.io, the drawing software, are you on that screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I think we can categorize this session basically into three parts. I think there's roughly three things that sort of in your way, because your goal is to get as far as possible, and to get as far as possible, I think there's kind of three hurdles that you have. I think number one is, and this is in no particular order. I think one is positioning. Um, I think it's important to. We're going to go through a couple of concepts before we go into the a session in regards to this. I think one thing that will help you a lot with the positioning. Uh, Two, comms. I think you do comm, but actually another question I have in regards to this. During this VOD that I watched, you kind of talk to yourself, right? There, you kind of
Yes.
commentate on the game. Is this something you do generally? One thing I'll say about it is it's good that you don't do it out loud in the microphone, because then you don't affect your teammates. But is this something you did just because you knew you were recording a review to have a session with me? So you kind of talk yourself through it, or is it something you generally do?
I try to do that most of the time because it I try to do that to make me think more about the game, so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
just autopiloting.
Mm-hmm.
I still tend to do that sometimes, but like
Okay.
if I try to think about like if I talk about what's actually going on, it makes me more aware of
Yep.
it.
I completely agree. I think it's a good habit as long as when you're doing that self talk, or you're talking yourself through things, you're narrating the game for yourself, as long as you're doing it in the right way and you're focusing on things you can control, then it's a positive self talk. And I didn't feel like that was always the case, and we're going to touch on that as well.
Okay.
In terms of just comms, I think you do comm, but there's a lot more that you can do, like little communication, and you're not shy in the microphone. At least I didn't get that impression. So I think you have you can easily grow in this department very very quickly, as long as you know what you can like a couple of things you can add into your common repertoire. And three, obviously, like I mentioned, attitude, because that's why I asked you, because I felt like this could potentially be an issue in terms of tilt, in terms of everything. And this is one of the biggest things that is keeping uh, people from climbing in ranked. Really, like this is one of the biggest things. And I really speak from experience. Not as much from my Overwatch experience, but I played League of Legends for a really really long time. I probably spent definitely several thousand hours on that game, and I went on a lot of losing streaks. I went on a lot of winning streaks, but I was also a tilter. And I didn't learn how to control this until I got banned. And the way Riot did things back then, they would give you proof, like, this is why you got banned. And I could actually read the chat logs of the things I was saying. And I read that and I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize that I was saying these things and I was focusing on these things. And that helped me get over that hurdle and actually work on this, because you can have a shitty attitude and you can fix it as long as you know that you have a shitty attitude and you know that, and you actually want to fix it, right? And I didn't want to fix it until that moment, so. And if you make this a point of, like, it's good that you admit to yourself that, yeah, I do tilt, maybe I sometimes tilt too easily.
Yes.
So you are self-aware, but now you have to want to fix it. You want to invest resources into fixing this, because if you can fix this, then everything's gonna be a lot easier. And we'll touch this is gonna kind of go hand in hand in terms of the positive self-talk during the game and focusing on what you can control. Now, beyond this, let me see if I can delete all of this. Something I want to address very very quickly, in terms of positioning. So obviously positioning changes in a lot of situations. It changes based on ult economy, based on what picks your team is playing, what picks your opponents are playing, if there's high ground, if there's no high ground, all of that shifts. But just as a very very basic exercise, if this is your front line and this is the enemy front line, where should you optimally be positioned, as, like, very generally, where should you be positioned as a support player?
Behind them. Or behind your front line.
And how far, roughly? So,
Uh,
so this is difficult because this really has
de
no scale. But say, yeah, like,
depends on like team comps, what they're playing, the map geometry, but you want to be in range, like say the other team's playing like Monkey Diva, you want to be close enough to try to bait like the monkey into diving you and using his cooldowns, but just far enough to where you're not necessarily threatened by him.
So if this is your front line and you're playing here, you want to play in a position where you can still help him, but you can also run away from in case they push you, right? So and if this is you and your front line moves to this position, then where should you go?
Sorry, which dot was which?
So if
Okay, wait, so they move
if they
here.
move here, yeah.
Move up with them. I would generally take a bit of an angle to make a bit of a crossfire.
But you move forward as well, right?
Yes.
Same thing. If your front line gets poked out, if they move backwards, you also move backwards, right?
Yes.
So basically, what I think we can agree on is that your positioning, while it should be dynamic, is very often going to be determined based on the status of your front line and where your front line is playing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll keep that concept in mind, and we'll head into the actual review now. If you fire up the QGG link.
Yes, I'm there.
All right, let's dig in.
I'm not playing on it.
Yeah, you can DPS if you want.
So right off the bat, what do you think about this positioning? Your starting position here with this composition.
If they were to have a widow that would like rush hook to that spot I'm looking at, I could be punished, but what I tried to do is just send a volley into that little window where they might be walking from their right of spawn and then get behind one of these like obstacles they added to the aggro.
Here, right? And
Yes.
if they do have a widow and she pops out there, where do you go?
Back right towards the stairs.
Okay, so
or over underneath the shield or behind the shield.
Yeah.
Usually I play from the back right, I think.
So what are the sort of benefits of going this way or this way?
If I go over towards the shield, I have the shield and I have the Roadhog there and Narisa who can help deal with a potential diver with like hook and like damage. If I go right, I think that's where my Ana's playing and I have more natural cover and also add in separate fire angles.
So in terms of separate fire angles, I completely agree with that. You have an off angle, which is always nice, but also you can't utilize if you go over there, you can't utilize that off angle until they cross this area, right? You can't discord anyone and you can't shoot anyone until they really cross this line. In terms of having natural cover, I'm not sure I agree because here you have a shield, you see all of this, you can immediately discord and poke everyone, and even if the shield goes down, you have cover here, you can immediately fall back to cover here, and you can easily fall back to point as well, you can fall back to stairs. There's I think a lot of ways where you can kite without isolating yourself. Do you think that's reasonable?
Yes.
Yeah. And even I think even if you play here and your Ana chooses to play here, I think she can still help you, she can still heal you even though she's on the opposite side, right?
Question about that. Generally, Ana's in positioning is pretty similar, but sometimes it's different. Would you say the Ana should also be over there behind the shield?
Yeah.
Because I like the sight lines to the teammates from the right side.
Yeah,
I guess if you're behind the shield, you have easy sight lines there too.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on what composition you have. There's certainly, and what composition they have as well. There's certainly comps where you do want to play crossfires, but for instance, if you look at Overwatch League games, where even in Season 1, when people were playing these bunker compositions with Mercy Zen comps, Zen was always with the bunker comp, because that's where you can get a lot of support. And then a Widowmaker and a Mercy would be taking the off angle from this side, so that in case opponents dove, Zen can still back off. They shouldn't really be able to pressure him because it's such a long distance. Mercy would still potentially be able to fly back out, and then the Widow would have this angle. That's generally how the positioning would work. Because if you think about, if we flip this and think you're playing Hanamura defense with the same composition, where would you position? And you bunker up with the shield on the little platform or on point A, you know, like where everyone bunkers up, right?
Yes.
So where would you position there? Would you position yourself on the left side on your own, or would you position yourself behind the shield?
Behind the shield.
Yeah, so it's sort of similar. Obviously, here there is more of a, you know, point to maybe go into that side, but as an essential kind of, just as a thought process, it makes more sense, and it's much safer for you to play there, both because you can discord and help your team immediately, because even on Hanamura you wouldn't really be able to do that, and I think the crossfire isn't really worth it as much, considering the risk that you're taking. And again, you see what the status is of your front line, and you can easily fall back with them as well, right? So we'll take a look at how this plays out, and talk about it a little more.
Ball's discorded.
Okay, she just hit the sickest shot of her life.
Yeah. So now we're set. Like nothing. You will not be able to shoot anything or poke anything or put pressure on anyone until they cross this line, as we can see.
Ball's discorded. Going upstairs.
I think we gotta rotate.
Four purple going to be back one.
He's one discorded.
You see the issue?
I don't have much line of sight to contribute to the fight from here.
Neither your Ana, obviously your Sombra died, but beyond that, your Ana can't really help your tanks. As soon as there's point pressure, and your tanks fall back, as soon as the Genji and the Ball are through, now you guys are split. So you're fighting separately. No support for the Orisa. Even though you guys killed this guy, both of you playing on the opposite side, there's no support for the front line at all. Whereas if you guys played together and there was pressure on the point, you would be able to fall back together, group up here. Maybe you can potentially win this fight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So even though, because you're thinking, oh, how can I get a better angle? Crossfire, that's all nice and good, but you have to think in the context of the team. Like how will the team suffer from this? If they get pressured out, I have to fall back this way because I can't join them after. Like you can't make the cross across the bridge when they're falling back because you're just exposing yourself too much, right? So you're forced to go this way, and you're just forced to split. Which is essentially, when you play bunker compositions, that's how they get broken. A Ball and a flanker go to pressure the point. Someone has to go deal with the point. You split up, so there's you don't have as much pressure on the choke point, and then these compositions that thrive in a chaotic environment with Ball, with flankers, that's when they're good. And with bunker compositions, you want to actually bunker up. You want to play together. And if, say, for instance, if all of you started here, maybe your Orisa could keep this, your Ana could pressure forward, maybe you guys could hit asleep on the Ball and kill him and hook him, maybe your Hog could even drop and pressure the Genji, and you could, or if someone pressures the point, maybe your Hog could go touch the point, while your Orisa holds this, right? Like your Orisa holds this, you can maybe give orb to the Hog, your Hog goes to deal with the point, and then you're still shooting back, and it's harder for the enemy supports to move in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're not voluntarily giving this up. But as soon as you guys split, as soon as they surround you, you have to split on your kiting. You go this way, they go this way. You get into these chaotic duels, and then you're not really playing as a team, and you're not playing to your composition's win condition. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
Yes. One thing, like what you're saying is how I'm taking the crossfire to try to like get the damage in, but I'm not thinking about like what's better for the team. I think that might also come down to the attitude you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when I go into ranked, I'm generally like, I have to make myself win this game, like I have to carry. So I sometimes overextend myself to try to get the damage and the kills to win the game. I will work on being a better team player.
Mm-hmm. And to this point, it's not really about attitude. I think it's just objectively the right decision to play here because of the composition that you're playing, because you don't want to split up. Like even if they have a Sombra, you know, like say ball goes on point, someone falls back, you're falling back, a Sombra comes here while your Ana is focused on healing the rest, and you're isolated and you die. Whereas if you're playing close, if all of you are playing close here, it's much harder for the Sombra to kill you. It's much harder for the ball to get you because he has to deal with a sleep and a hook. But now the way this plays out, you just kind of get split up. And the same thing for Reaper. You know, it's not just like all of you should be there. Like what is really Reaper gonna do on this side on his own, right?
Yeah.
You could even keep everyone on. Like Reaper would actually be a good, like if all of you start here and someone pressures the point, like you could potentially move back to the stairs back there. You are still safe from the Widow, if they have a Widow. Your Reaper could go to pressure the point and you give him Orb. And a Reaper with Orb can push, sometimes even push away 2 people, right? And then you guys keep this pressure up. And say if your second DPS is a Widow, then again, the supports can't really cross in. It's very difficult, right? Or if your second DPS is Bastion, like this is the space you want to keep. So then you and the Reaper go to relieve point pressure, and you still don't surrender the choke point, and you keep pressuring the choke point. But now, because you guys are playing split, you guys obviously are not playing those DPSs, but the concept is still the same. You guys give up this for free. It's so easy for them to get past you guys.
I think we gotta rotate.
Four purple going to be back one.
He's one discorded. Ball's discorded.
So based on the discussion we had before the stream in terms of positioning, where should you go based on the concept we discussed?
That little doorway on the left there, like the gray part,
There?
where you have the mini. Yes.
Yeah, like there. That's your front line, so you go play behind them. That's good positioning. Now your front line dies. Now you don't really have a front line, which means if you're not if you don't have a tank controlling this space, you can never push up here, right?
Right.
Because it's just too risky. You have no idea. Like, because your front line is on the point, you have lost all control here. Anyone from the enemy team could be here. You have absolutely no information moving up this way. You know, and again, if one guy relieved point pressure and your Orisa was still up here, you could easily move up there. But you have to pay attention to where your front line is and move accordingly. Because otherwise you end up in the situation where you maybe you're trying to make a play or whatever, but yeah. You know, like now this is your front line, right? So again, you move like this, they move like this, and they set up here, you set up here. Like that's generally the optimal setup. Or your hog pushes this way, and then you can go with him, right? But ultimately, where he goes is going to determine where you go if you want to stay in the fight.
Go with the touch. Hang on, don't. Oh,
And then maybe you can live, and maybe you guys can clutch the fight.
I'm pushing Gadget. Oh, dude, the fucking Widow's up there. I'm dead.
Why?
Yeah. So that as soon as I heard that, I was like, you have big problems with the attitude and the way you approach the game. If I hear a sigh like that, again, it's good that you don't put it in comms, that no one can hear it here, because if you can hear it there, like I'm immediately tilted when I hear that. And yeah, it just not like you're letting out frustration. What is there to be frustrated about? Like, what is your goal? You know, your goal is to climb as high as possible. So really, the outcome of this game doesn't really matter. Your only goal in this game is to get better, make optimal decisions, and focus on what you can't control. Focus on your improvement. So this is where you do your self-talk and you keep it positive. Okay, we lost the first point. What ults did they use? How can I help my teammates? Can I feed them information about what's going on? Okay, you guys are 2. There's 3 of you left. Instead of, oh, I hate my life. Oh, my teammates, like that contributes nothing. That is detrimental to your goal of becoming a better player, right?
Right. They have an attack torp. Ball. It should have been easy, but then we ruined it by our summer getting picked at their spawn, and now we don't even have a main tank.
Yeah, so like this is
Yeah.
the commentary is like, it starts good. Okay, they have a Torb, they have a Hammond. How should we play against that? They want to do this. I should be doing this. That's how it should be. But so you start correctly. You look at their comp. What's gonna happen next? But then you immediately digress and look for excuses. Oh well, our Sombra died. It should have been easy, but it wasn't. You're starting to feel sorry for yourself. It's just it's kind of a self-victimizing mindset where it's so counterproductive. But both to your chances to win this game and just to improve in general, because you're focusing on completely the wrong things. Like, the game isn't lost. You just lost the first fight. There's so much play left in this match, but again, you're feeding this negative energy to yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can main tank back. I know what to do.
They're gonna snowball here.
They're gonna snowball here immediately. You're going to the worst case scenario conclusion instead of thinking, okay, they might snowball here. What do we need to do? They have these ultimates. Let's try on this. They might snowball, guys. We need to be careful. Dodge their EMP or something, right?
So, when I said that, as mentally, I told myself, right, I need to build my trans as quickly as I can here to try to stop that. But yes, there's more I could have done.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's just the way
my teammates about what they might have.
No, but beyond that, it's just the way you phrase it. You say they're gonna snowball here. Like you're talking about it like it's a done deal. Like there's nothing you can do about it, which isn't true, right?
Right.
If you listen to the tone and the words that you actually use,
Snowball here.
it's like, yeah, they're gonna snowball there. It's done. Go next, right? Like that's the sense that I'm getting.
I can heal you as soon as you peek back, Hog.
And she's discorded. That was bad.
But yeah, you could have just been thinking about what they might have. Okay, they're probably close to Blade. I'm gonna try and build trans. Whatever. Make sure we pressure the Genji.
Res walls until 609.
Oh, and that was good. Wait, did you say that actually in comms?
I think so. Yeah. Until 609.
Perfect. Really important information. Everyone knows. Wallace is over at 609. Again, that is very good information. Very good that you share. You're finding a way to just through that communication. You're influencing the game in other ways than just your mechanical play, and that's what you should look to do through communication always. Also, your reloading patterns. We'll talk a little bit about that. I've talked about that with a lot of different flex support players.
I watched that goats scrim where you talked about the reloading patterns.
Yeah, and yours weren't terrible. There's just it can get a little better. There's only a handful of times where I think you kind of mess up.
Okay.
So here, you animation cancel because you see you're not going to get anything out of this right click, and you see that people need heals, so you don't want to be stuck in your animation, right? So you animation cancel, you place an orb. Now you can reload. Like you're not either you're charge right click to shoot again, or you just reload. But now you're standing, not doing anything, and you're not using this time to reload.
I think I was looking to try to move the orb to the one sim, but yeah,
okay.
I should have reloaded.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he went to Ana, so yeah, he's gonna get those heals anyway. So something about trance usage and kind of dynamic positioning. Obviously, positioning here is very, very tough because your tanks have to pressure up front. You want to distance yourself so they don't catch you and the tanks in the EMP, right? So like on maps like this, like Hanamura, it's usually difficult to position yourself, but you also have to be realistic about the amount of distance you can cover. Because if you're trailing the play and they get EMP'd over there, there's almost no way you can, cover this distance, right?
So should I be like sheltering by the truck to my left right there?
Okay, let's think about this.
Thank you. I'm with you, Diva. I'm with you.
All is discorded. I mean, that's about where it was. Could I have been closer and safe?
No, I mean mostly you might not be able to save them because they are too deep. Like you can't go on the point, obviously. Like you can't.
Okay,
if
so
you go
like,
there. So I'm saying you have to
don't
judge
chase them, stay with the Ana.
exactly because there's also a Nana Blade going. So maybe they die, but the Genji goes here, and then you can save the Ana. You nade the Genji. Maybe you kill the Genji. Maybe this tank can still buy some time. Because in reality, it's going to be very difficult for you guys to win the fight when they have Nana Blade and EMP. So you're going to have to give up something. Someone is going to die most likely. So you have to be very smart with how you use it and understand, okay, well, that's fine. They just used Nana Blade. They popped both of those ultimates immediately. They didn't spread them out. I can't really catch that. Let me just pay attention to what I can control, which is the Genji. How do I negate what the Genji is going to do? Right? Because now, and especially since like he's already nanoed, so they might not even need the trance, or even if they do, like maybe just one of them does. But now you kind of start chasing, and now your Ana dies, right? Well, she gets swiped and she gets headshot, so it doesn't really matter. But she gets forced into this position because the Genji comes in and then he can headshot. And he also got a swipe in, so she doesn't even need to headshot. But regardless, like you're going forward and then you're going this way, so it's very hard for you to position yourself correctly. I like this reposition. You dodge the Widow.
Top left.
You go for a play.
Orb's discorded.
So again, going for back-to-back right clicks, because this is what I said in that video. It's fine to open fights, or it's fine to open with the right click when you're going around the corner. But as soon as you get the Discord out, just use your primary fire. Like you're missing out on so much DPS, and you're gambling on hitting a right click. And I think this, tell me. Yeah.
Was he still in trans when I started the next right click?
Let's see. So.
Yeah, so I guess what I was thinking is that they're being trans right now anyway, so I wasn't going to be able to kill anyone with left click, so I shelter for a second, start charging the right click again, but I could have released that faster, like when I peeked back out at that torb.
Yeah, you could also potentially use that time to reload because they're transing,
Oh yeah.
Or you could just primary fire, like you could still primary fire, even though they have trans. Blitz, thanks for the follow.
Torb's discorded.
But yeah, but I get your reasoning. It's not unreasonable what you're saying as well, and but yeah, like you said, you could potentially release that a little quicker.
Torb's low.
He's running.
And that reload caught me off guard.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down in this sequence. What do you think you did wrong from this point onwards until the end of that sequence? What could you do better? What went wrong here?
I could go back over to the truck to where the mini behind me and some shelter, not feed in their backline while reloading. And I could, do I even orb this hog? I'm not even sure if I do. So I need to get my harmony on someone. Keep the Discord. Okay, I get it on the Diva. And then I go off to try to make my own play instead of playing with the team.
Yeah,
and I kind of what I thought was, I thought we were like turning the fight around and we were going to be winning here. So I thought our tanks would be pushing in and it'd be like a pincher, but yeah, I should have stayed behind them.
So that's very important to establish. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in ranked, assuming. Never ever assume that your teammates in ranked are gonna do what they're supposed to do. Mistake number one. Now, if you think you have the right answer, you can tell them what to do, and they might not listen, or they might listen. But if you just assume that they're gonna read the situation exactly the same as you will, in a chaotic sequence that's 4v4, a lot of ultimates have been dropped, it's a fight that's been going on for 20 seconds, if you assume that they're gonna read it the same way as you will, especially at a diamond level, that is a cardinal sin. You can never do that. So if you want to go for this play, what can you do?
Call out to my teammates. We're winning this fight. Push or be aggressive, push staggers and reload as I'm going to this room rather than going to their back line with no ammo.
Yeah. Even simpler, you can just say, I'm flanking, push them, guys. You know? Very simple. And that immediately puts, like, they know what's going on. Oh, okay, he's flanking, pressure him. I'm flanking, I'm gonna come behind them, push them, right? Like, that's, you know, obviously as Zen, it's not as valuable of a call because that's not what you're usually going to be doing. It's very valuable between like Winston and Tracer, for instance. You know, Tracer says, Winston, I'm behind them. Can you dive them? Yeah, okay, let's go. I'm ready to go. I'm flanking them now. Okay, I'm jumping in, right? Like that type of a mini game. But if you do want to go for that type of a play, it does help if you communicate what you're trying to do. Now, like you said yourself, you feel like you were winning the fight, but in reality, if you pay better attention,
Top left.
you're 4 versus 4. You know, your Ana has died. You are the only healer, so yeah, you are winning it. But it's not a done deal. If someone else dies, then they can still get ticks, right? So if you do play slow, if you play to survive, if you play together, you should be able to avoid giving them ticks. Your Ana should get back faster than, you know, whoever died from their team. And you should be able to win this fight easily. So that read is correct, but it's not a fight that you're just gonna. It's not a fight where it's not 100% certain that you can take yourself out of the fight for like 2 seconds and go on a flank and leave the rest of your team with no heals and no discord.
Would you also say it would just be strictly better to play it slower so you drain more time off the attacker's clock?
Yeah, again, this is you're playing damage control. You're playing defense. You don't have to make a play. You've traded 2 for 2 in a fight where they popped 4 ultimates. Now just make sure they don't get ticks. Like don't take any unnecessary risks. It's not really necessary because say someone else was lower here and they demech your diva, you go for a flank and you die, and then their widow comes back. Now they can potentially get ticks. So yeah, I think in this situation, if we think about what we talked about, good positioning, your Frontline is here, you're here. You still have a corner to hide behind here. You have a corner to hide behind here. Pretty good positioning for you here. You know, Widow was above you. She doesn't have a sideline, so you're pretty happy where you are. You have good sidelines on priority targets. You can orb pretty much everyone who's fighting on the point, which is, you know, where you want to kind of allocate your resources, and you can easily hide if someone pushes you. So, you know, you're using your Frontline and you're kind of playing in the correct way. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think this position is yeah.
Torb's discorded. Torb's low.
You know, like that Torb is 1 HP, right? So you could be helping finish that kill, and then all of a sudden you're 4 versus 3, and then it's over. And then you certainly don't need a flank because you're 4 versus 3. You can just push with your Frontline. You know, your Frontline is here, they push here. This is your starting position. You push up to here, right? So you move up with the line. And yeah, if you do go for a flank like this, so this is kind of a rule of thumb that you can have. Obviously, maybe there are exceptions, but try to avoid loading a right click when you are this low on ammo. You know, it's like some people think that, if I run down to like 2 ammo and I charge a right click that's good management because I'm getting more out of my clip. And maybe there are situations when that's correct, but if you think about it, like you're going for a flank, and when you're finished loading this right click, you will immediately go into a reload, right?
Yes. I mentioned that I kind of tunnel vision and my awareness is not the best, and that was me not realizing I was low on ammo.
And just in general, when you're low ammo, you just don't want to do that again because it kind of makes sense, and you'll see that here. So you see a turret, and you have to unload the right click into the turret. And if you started this with 20 ammo, it's whatever. You kill the turret, you still have 15 ammo. You make this play, you can shoot immediately. But now you're like, oh, juicy! I can shoot these guys. But now you're stuck in a reload animation. And if you're stuck in the reload animation, you also can't discord. So your discord is delayed. And if you immediately go for a discord, then you're stuck in the reload animation twice. Which is why when you're making plays like this and you're pushing with the right click, you don't want to charge it when it's low, because then you get in these situations where you're stuck in multiple reload animations, right?
Yes.
More
I think I
FT
do
as
that.
well.
I think I discord someone, then I melee the Zen before I reloaded.
Yeah. You're reloading for so long, and if these guys have a little more awareness, they turn around and they kill you.
Yeah, I should have been dead already, and then I died to the widow I didn't think about coming back from spawn.
Yeah, but and when you see this, who do you want to kill?
Ana.
Ana?
I don't know about her cooldowns. She's the farthest up, the easiest one for my Diva to get to, which is why I think I discord her. Generally I would target the Zen.
Yeah.
To assert dominance, but like Ana's the easiest one for my team to fight as well.
I think it's fine to go for the Zen because he is closer to you. You still have the flank. You can probably kill him faster. Again, you have no idea about her cooldowns, so if you try to kill her, you shoot her twice. Maybe she nades herself. Maybe your frontline isn't ready to push up, which obviously they aren't because your Ana was dead. Then you have to try and kill whoever. Who are you considering their positioning? Who are you guaranteed to get a lot of damage in? A Zen who has a really easy hitbox to hit, who is closer to you, or Ana who has a harder hitbox to hit and is further away from you, right? Target is further away, harder to hit. Even if you're not stuck in the reloading pattern here, if you look at this, now he's moved in front of you. So if she is your primary target, like she was further away, now he's body blocking for her, right? So she's not getting your damage. I like the way you think that, okay, I'm going to discord the target that most of my team is going to be able to follow up on. There's a lot of situations where I think that's correct, but we don't have to delve into this specific situation too much. But yeah, I think Zen is probably the play. Like discording Zen is probably the player. And you do focus on the Zen. And at least now you have to. Now you know you're gonna shoot him. Like now you've changed your focus, so you have to move the Discord orb.
He's also the biggest threat. No, wait, he didn't notice me. I thought he noticed me. The Genji wasn't on me. The Ana was still looking for it. So
yeah,
I thought Zen would be the one that would try to kill me there.
Yeah, I mean he should like turn around, Discord you, and kill you immediately. But his awareness isn't great. But that should have been probably your primary target.
That was an easy fight when I thought they'd be pushing in for the staggers and they'd be with their reinforce me.
Yeah, same thing. You thought, never think. Always do whatever you can to make sure that miscommunication doesn't happen. Don't assume. Don't think that your teammates know what you're doing. Assume that they are completely clueless and they have to be led every step of the way. Assume that they're going to make every mistake in the book, and then you have nothing. You will never be disappointed, and you will never make mistakes like that.
At least I didn't. I wasn't really blaming them for that. Like I said, I threw. Like that was my mistake.
No, I know. But then you're. Yeah, okay. But then you're. What I'm saying. You're justifying the mistake. Oh, I thought that they would push in. That's why I made the mistake. You're making a justification for the mistake when in reality, did you do everything possible to make sure that that mistake didn't happen? You know, did you call that you're going for a flank? Did you call for your front line to push up? Did you need to push up? Did you, you know, like, you don't really have to make a justification. It's just a mistake. Shit, I should have called that. That's the only thing you need to say. Oh, I should have called that I'm going for the flank, or I should have stayed. That's it. There's no need to make a justification, right? It's just what could I have done better? Not I thought these guys would do. Like, never kind of use your mistake to justify someone else, right? Like, or you can say, oh, I thought he was going to do this and I made a mistake, but I shouldn't. I should not expect that. That should be your conclusion, right? So as long as you communicate that with yourself and you exit the play with the correct conclusion, then it's completely fine. You know, it's not like you can never talk about, oh shit, I thought you would make that. But yeah, maybe I could have helped him not make that mistake. But I think you get the drift, right?
Yes.
Second. You guys get a test?
Balls discorded.
Thanks for the field.
Genji low, Genji low. Hang on. Here.
Okay, so what do we think about the right clicks here?
I was looking for a target, could have released it faster.
Genji low, Genji low.
That I should have just left clicked on that Genji.
Yeah, so again, we're running a little low on ammo. Again, I don't mind starting the fights with a right click. You're shooting him a bit. You kill him. Absolutely zero reason to right click here, right? You know, like, your team has already taken space. You guys are controlling a lot of space. Now when you go into this right click animation, if someone pops out, you can't immediately discord them. And like, what, are you going to hit a 5 orb, right? You know, like, your value as a damage dealer here comes from being able to immediately discord whatever your team can shoot over there, and then following up with quick damage. You know, just discording and hitting 1 orb, great value. But charging a right click, that's going to be like, you know, are you really going to hit a Genji who is over there with this type of a hitbox with a 5 orb? No, right? Or you don't have to, right? There's no need for it, right?
Right.
You see, like, big E-box. The Discord should be out, but because you're charging it, you can't do it. And you go for it, and of course you miss, because you're never going to hit more than 1 orb on this guy. And if you're not going to hit more than 1 orb on this guy, might as well left click. And same thing here. You know, again, still no Discord. Now the Discord comes out, and you charge it a right click. You released it after, I think, 3 orbs, and you hit 1 orb again. So out of 7 shots that you took there, 6 or 7 shots that you took there, you landed 1 orb, which is roughly in that range. Like, that's what you can land. But you can land that shot 3 seconds earlier if you just don't right click mid fight. Unless, again, you're being pressured. You know, there's certainly situations. Say, okay, so let's give an example where you might be, like, say you have 11 ammo, you're here, an enemy hog is here, and he's pushing you, and you took 100 damage, so you obviously can't shoot him, and you know he's pushing you. Obviously, you can charge a right click because you need to burst him in the head so that he falls back. Like, that's your only play. Certainly a situation where you can, you know, you can make that work, but in a situation like this, long-range battle is definitely not worth it. Yeah, same thing here. You're not really going to hit anything.
Wait, so I shouldn't have charged right click when I was transitioning behind this wall?
Is there really a need to? Your team is pushing up. You don't really see anyone. It's okay. It's fine that you do it, and you see that nothing's happening, so you animation cancel. Completely fine, and then you can head into a reload. So no harm done, really. And you reload. Fine, completely fine. Don't mind that. All right. So based on the concept that we discussed, in terms of positioning, where is your front line?
They're up there. I should probably be up at this doorway.
Yeah, you should be here, or there. All right. You, as we talked, if your front line moves up, you probably have to move up, right? Because you want to be able to help them. And if you don't push up, now you can't help any of them. And you guys are chasing staggers, right? Like, they're actually making the play that you assumed that they would last time. So you assumed wrongly that they would push up and chase the staggers last time because it was a messy fight. It was 4 versus 4, and they had the enemies had trans coming. But this was much like now in the follow through of the fight. Now you guys have 6 alive. You just gotten a couple of kills. They're all falling back. Now they are rightly chasing for staggers, but now you're not on the same page. So the same read you kind of said that you should have made the previous death. This is same situation, right?
Right.
And again, very easy way to avoid this. Just focus on where your front line is. If your front line is moving up, you can move up. Now you're just kind of standing here.
I can't transit.
I'm on him.
Why were you up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you ask, why were you up there when it's your fault? You should have been up there. If you're up there, maybe you can discord the Genji. He gets naded, he dies, right? And if you're not, like, or if you want to stay here, guys, don't push this or that, whatever, for whatever reason. But don't stay here and say, why were they up there when you didn't push up? You know, again, it comes back to the attitude and mindset. It's my fault. I should have done something better. Either I should have dictated my front line to not go up there, or I should have moved up with them. One of the two. But not stay quiet, not move with them, and then complain about them making a mistake. Right? And if you do one of those, 2 or 3 things, then you've actually done the best that you can, right? Then you can leave this game with a clear conscience that you did everything possible to improve, to help your teammates, and you can be happy with your performance.
I have problem. Holy fuck. I have problem.
Sin's main. All's discorded? Okay, never mind. Okay, fuck. All's still discorded.
Nice punch. Hang on, I'm jumping Miana in 2, 1. On a no nade. 2.
All's still
So what do you think
discorded.
about your positioning here in general?
Fuck.
I don't think I needed to move up here. I'm playing back
All's still discorded.
and with cover. I didn't notice the Genji, which was bad. I could be over on the right side with Diana, probably. Like in the center with the mini, or on the right side by the boxes.
Yeah, you could. I think you could potentially use this as well, just so you do have a vantage point. Because obviously, you can see my Winston is on point, my Diva is here, which means we lost control of top. I have no idea what's going on top. I don't know if someone's gonna come from here. I don't you don't have that information. This goes back to the same situation of first point. Like you got your tanks, you lose high ground, you have to adjust, right? So maybe a little further back here where you can see. Or if your tanks are taking too much damage and you guys are losing this fight, maybe you could also push up, and just so you're closer if you potentially need to trans. But obviously in this situation, I don't think you needed the trans, so you just have to keep in mind that you guys lost control of top. And as long as as long as there's no Widow, yeah, it's completely fine to make this rotation. There's nothing that can really kill you. And then again, you're working with more information. You see everything. You can make a better judgment with your trance. You can make and you just see everything. You can protect yourself from this. So in case a lot of them take this, then whoop, you're running away. They can't just force your trance or kill you.
And if I was playing with my Ana, I could have helped her there.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to run from like the Genji or someone else on her.
Yep.
No more ults here.
Good call. I think you called that. No more ults here.
Yeah.
Yep. Helping your team. Very good.
The main calls I make are I try to call when a fight's won or lost for no more ults or like a regroup.
Yeah.
I don't call every Discord, but I call most of the ones I think my teammates can follow up on. And one on Ana, I'll call if like someone's out of my LOS, but I often do that too late. It's just something I need to work on.
Yeah. Just very basic calls, good calls. They help your teammates. They increase your chances of winning the game. Yep. Go on.
Sometimes This game I was a lot less vocal about ult tracking. When I'm thinking about it, I try to call that a lot more, and when on Ana, I'll try to communicate nano blades and
Mhm.
like when I
Yep.
can nano a monkey to dive.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. So really, it's just from what we've seen so far, you just have to be a little more dynamic in your positioning because you're stuck in this corner the entire game. Doesn't matter what's going on in the fight. Doesn't matter. The only exception when you actually moved away from this corner was when you tranced and you went for that flank. Which before the flank happened, I liked it. It was good dynamic repositioning. But otherwise, you're just kind of stuck here. In this situation, it's fine. This is fine position.
Sure, Sam.
Guys, dude,
Towards discorded.
the healers are main.
Did you know deflect top left? That right click was never gonna hit
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. You cancel that immediately and you go for a reload when you see that they're retreating.
That turret's gotta go. Yo.
Towards discorded on
Hitting
point.
it on point right now.
And
Then you need to be on point for everyone.
yeah.
So
That
yeah, go on.
with that, I knew they had blade. So, and I knew a couple of our people had died while they were still pushing in. So what I was trying to think is we will have people coming back out of spawn before they get like fully cap. So I was going to try to either wait for their blade if they weren't blading, then use it to try to contest and like keep people alive on point in the 90s%.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I could have gotten to the Winston to save him with the trans. He was on the other side of the point and antied until like shortly, like just before his death. I could have kept the diva up, and that's probably what I should have done.
So yeah, ideal scenario. Trans when he blades, right?
Right.
Worst case scenario, trans when 5 of your teammates are dead, right? And this is what happens. This is your optimal situation. Usually, your teammates will make mistakes, and you will have to make a decision somewhere here, right? So we have to find. First of all, we have to find out how we got, and could you have done something to avoid it getting to this point? Could you have used it in a different way? Because obviously you don't want to trans when your whole team is dead.
One thing I do often mess up is estimating time to kill, and I think that's just something I need to adjust to, because I think I mentioned that I have been bronze and slowly climbing all the way up, so
Mhm.
I don't think I expected the diva to die as fast as she did. I should have trans her as I saw her boosting 2 point.
But beyond that, based on everything we've discussed, what else do you do that is wrong?
I try to go forward here to help the CPS when our tank line is backing up.
Perfect.
So I'm too far forward here.
Perfect. Exactly. Your Winston is pushing up. Fine for you to go up there and peek. Because he's there. But your diva is low, so she's already falling back. Now he's taking damage as well. Both of your now your front line has fallen back, and they're holding here, which means again, based on what we discussed, your optimal positioning is a little further back. But now your front line is behind you, and the 3 squishies are actually tanking.
I almost died trying to fix a couple teammates' mistakes. Like I think
Yeah.
there's a clip of Jane yelling at like a mercy coach, like about thinking there's anyone more important than them, like to prioritize their own survival over saving someone who's making a mistake. It's like, that's what I tried to do there.
But you see this? This is why I'm trying to drill this concept into you, because when you are playing the correct position in the backline, you have more information and you can make better decisions.
So I should,
But based on this,
should I have trans them to keep them up
no, but
here?
no,
Oh, okay.
no. I'm saying that doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. What matters is what information by keeping your front line behind you and pushing in front of your front line. What information do you have to work with now?
Very little.
Yeah, this is all you have. That your McCree is low. You have no idea what's going on with your front line. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if someone is pushing main. You don't know if someone is pushing right. You don't know if your front line needs help. If maybe Hammond is slamming them and they might need trans, and you can react to that. You can never read that because of your positioning, because you're in front of the front line.
That turret's gotta go.
And you're still working with very little. Now you've lost 2 members.
Yo.
Now you've lost 3 members, because you don't know what's been going on here, because this is all you have to work with. And again, if your front line is there and you push up here, completely fine. You can still make the correct decisions because you're working with a lot more information. And now it's like shit, So again, the same concept kind of coming back to bite you, because you could not have reacted to this because you didn't have the information. So you just try and play in a way where you can have the information so that you can make the decision. Because it's not like any of these guys were outside of trance range, So as soon as you see your front line getting low and falling back, you fall back as well, and then you read what happens.
Do you have any tips for learning to be more aware and less tunnel vision? Because, alright, staying back will help me see more of the battlefield, but I don't think I noticed like when Sin retreating, I was probably just like, oh, my DPS need help, I need to go help them, and it's like, that's all I thought about when doing that.
I mean, you just have to learn to look around. Like, it comes back to your awareness. It comes back to you looking around. Why, if you think about Ana, why do you think so many Ana players, like if your Genji needs a heal, they just quick scope and hit him quickly and then look elsewhere? That it's because they know that they have to pay attention to the entirety of the battlefield. Otherwise, they might miss something, and they might be late with the nade. They might miss an opening to heal someone. They might miss a nano. They might, there's so many things that can happen when they don't put themselves in a situation where they have all the information. And if you zoom in as an Ana, you're automatically tunnel visioning the longer you stay zoomed in. So even if someone needs a lot of heals, sometimes you might zoom in, hit them twice, zoom out, take a look at the situation. Is anyone pushing me? No, zoom in again, right? So it's just a habit of check everything, check your flanks, check behind you, especially when you're say you're playing payload maps and you're retaking map control. Check the flanks, look around everywhere, check every corner so that you know where to position. So you're aware of everything. It just kind of comes back to awareness and getting into that habit of looking around. And obviously, it's maybe a little easier said than done. I think it comes back to one. You have to be very comfortable in your mechanics to the point where if someone needs a quick heal, you're comfortable quick scoping and hitting that shot and then looking elsewhere. Say you're Ana here and your Genji is here with 50 HP, but this guy's low as well. You have to be comfortable in your mechanics to quick scope, hit him, and then nade this guy, and then maybe heal him, or maybe heal him. Like, take care of both of them at the same time. But if you're not comfortable with your mechanics, you're like, oh shit, the Genji is low, I really need to hit these shots. Then you might stop, zoom in, shoot him a couple times, he gets DMAC, fight is lost. So one, you have to be comfortable in your mechanics to the point, on each hero to the point where you don't have to focus, okay, how do I land this shot? How do I land this nade? How do I hit the sleep?
Would it help to, like, between fights, run over what I need to think about each fight until it becomes more natural?
Yeah, 100%. Like, between fights, that's the best time to
like remind myself to look at tank positioning and
100%. All these concepts, like dead time between fights, that's when you can be proactive and think about where you're gonna focus on. Okay, they have a Nano Blade coming in. I can't waste my sleep. I have to save it for the Nano Blade in case he pushes me because I need that protection. I might also have to hold my nade a little more defensively because we're gonna get a beat, but maybe he can kill me through it. So I want as much counterplay against the Nano Blade as possible. I want to be able to nade him and potentially sleep him, right? These things you can remind yourselves, and then that's what you're paying attention to. Even as you're healing everyone, you know in the back of your mind, oh, Genji's gonna come in any moment, and when he does, when I hear that that voice line, that's immediately what my focus is gonna shift on. So yeah, you can definitely do that in your pre-fight preparation, and that's gonna help you in the fight as well.
Scored it on
Getting
point.
on point right now. Then you need to trans on point with everyone.
And yeah, like I said, you should have just tranced the diva when she was getting low, or at least position yourself closer. Like now it's already a shit position, but you know that these guys have to come and contest the point. So you should be, even if you don't trance right now, you should be moving forward so that when she shifts, you're ready to trance immediately. You get a discord on someone, and then you're trancing in with them. But you don't move forward. You're still stationary. You put an orb and you're stuck in this corner. Like, he needs a trance. He needs a trance. Both of them need a trance. And then maybe you could potentially stall. You even got a Zen kill. So again, if you keep both of these guys up, maybe it's still winnable. But you have to, you have to move. And this comes back to, like, now your front line was here. So in theory, your positioning is correct. But because there's pressure on the objective, you have to also read your front line's movement. Of course, you understand that your front line is going to move forward, which means if they're going to move forward in 2 seconds, they have a lot more mobility than me. I have to be preemptive with my movement and get to this position before they go here or something like that, You have to think not only where they are right now, but where they're going to be in 2 seconds. And then you can shift your positioning accordingly, right?
Yes.
Fucking hell. That's why I was holding my trans, because I still had blade.
Again,
Yeah.
excuse. Damn it, I shouldn't have pushed up. That gave me limited information. That's why I made that mistake,
Yeah.
But then you say, oh, maybe I should have done that, But it just like completely exclude that thing, Shit, I was holding for blade, but that was a mistake, Just think about it that way. And again, like don't be hard on yourself. Don't just whatever. You're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna take a lot of games to get to where you want to go, but how fast you get there just depends on your attitude and how you approach things. And like this shit, You've played one half and you're more rather than being more focused. Okay, what am I going to focus on in the next game? I made a lot of mistakes in this round. How can I help? Maybe I can talk about the composition. No, you're spending this time, the entire wind up time, to avoid half of your team. So again, attitude and what you're focusing on. You're not focusing on the right things mid game. Because you can make improvements and adjustments round to round. Like, you're gonna have bad rounds. Like I have some terrible rounds, but I'm like, okay, fuck, I really fucked up. I really need to focus for this next one. And then if I want to avoid people, I avoid them after the game. Let's boost forward a little bit.
I sometimes struggle, especially like playing Ana on first point attack here. Like, I thought about this when you were talking about our defense. Like, if we were playing together and the bunker was able to still face forward, it would keep pressure on the choke, and the supports wouldn't be able to help as much. It's like that's sometimes I'm on the receiving end of that.
Yep. Yeah, and you get the feel for it. That's why, all of you should be there, because if your Ana is there as well, she can land a nade, they can get kills. If you're a Zen there, you can discord, you can kill, So yeah, 100%
So
receiving in.
when you're attacking as Ana, and say you don't have a Lucio, how do you deal with that? Like, have Monkey bubble you to walk into that right room, or like a DM on you to get across? Like, just call out for that sort of stuff?
There's multiple ways. You can wait till your tank's pressure up, and then you can move up there, or left side. You know, or you can wait till they pressure the point, force some resources back. Then maybe you can cross. Maybe you can do what you said, try and bubble us in, and maybe we can cross. It depends on their composition. It depends on what your front line and your DPS are able to do. But obviously, if they have a widow and they have you know, they're behind the shield, it's going to be difficult for you to get in. So one of those things has to happen. Like you have to get help. You have to set these guys up for success for you to be able to go in, and either move in at the same time as they jump to pressure, which again, it is going to be difficult. Even when they jump to pressure, if he doesn't have a nano boost, he's not going to be able to stay there for long. He's just kind of soft jumping for space, and without speed, it's difficult for you to cross. But yeah, maybe in that situation, you could use the time to at least cross here,
So
and just slowly take space. Yeah.
I think our diva tries to DM us from the stairs, so I just say here because like that probably wasn't gonna work out, and we just take a bunch of damage. I end up building my nano, and then we just nano monkey for the space to go through.
Yeah.
Alright, well,
But yeah, but obviously, yeah, it's not terrible.
Oh my gosh.
alright, we're holding up Matrix in 3, 2, 1.
Ball slept. Can't get through.
Why are you hip shotting here?
I don't know. I guess I was just thinking their tanks, they're not too hard to hit. With this doorway, I wouldn't really be reducing my field of view to scope, so yeah. Do you think that sleep was worth it? Cause
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have anyone to sleep anyway. It's
Okay.
whatever.
Cause I saw something about, I think I was watching a streamer and they were talking about how they don't even use a cooldown on ball unless they have like a May or like an Orisa so they can actually ensure the kill.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, most of the time, I can see the thought process behind that. Here, I don't mind it because you only have 2 people dead, and the only way these guys survive if you hit a nade, you hit you hit to sleep to relieve some of the pressure. So I really don't mind it here, and it's a little less likely for them to push you here as well, right?
One of the biggest brain things I saw about that, I think it was ML7. He said that the ball was trying to force his sleep so they could blade, so he just didn't use it until he bladed and slept the Genji. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not that smart.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a thing. That's you consider the situation. It's the same thing. Before the fight, he notices that is something that teams do, so he adjusts. Just like we said on defense, if you have this internal conversation, okay, they're coming in with a nano blade. I have to save my sleep. I'm not gonna just throw it out. I'm gonna save it for the Genji, right? This is the exact same thing that we just discussed. So yeah, 100%. If that's what you read, if they have a Genji, yeah, you might want to make that play. They don't have a Genji, they have snipers. Yeah, maybe you can sleep the ball because that's if you sleep the ball and you push him away, then maybe the snipers can't push up as much and you can take more space. So it just really depends on it's situational how you're going to use your cooldowns, and you have to keep thinking about it. That's where you said don't tunnel vision on using your cooldowns one way. Think about the optimal situation. So let's take a look at this quickly.
Can't get through. Ball slept. Can't get through.
So you said it wouldn't be difficult to hit them from this range. You missed 2 shots. And that's crucial because when you miss those 2 shots, you have to solo nade the diva. You solo nade the diva, you don't, not great value out of your nade, right? And also what I said in the review with Aswu yesterday, in terms of, did you manage to catch that review or no?
I was able to watch just like a few minutes, but I had to leave. I will watch that VOD probably.
Yeah, that's up. So I won't touch it too much, but one thing I explained to her, and we'll we go a little more in depth, and I think that can be good for you too. 21 meters is roughly the cutoff for when you do more healing per second with scope versus hip shot. So if someone is within 10 meters of you, if someone is here, you do more healing by hip shotting. If they're 21 meters away or further, you do more healing per second by scoping because it's hit scan.
What is that cutoff? About like the corner up there?
21 meters.
Like in game, what's that look like? Like that yellow corner?
This is definitely over 21 meters.
Okay.
Definitely. You can to get a better view.
Can you see if I draw? Is it like right there?
I think it's a little further. It's probably a little a little past this corner. And to get a better
Okay, yeah.
understanding of it, you can go into the into practice range, and there are actually lines on the ground that show you the distance.
Yeah, on the right side.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look
Yeah,
into
but
that.
this is definitely over 21 meters, especially when you go back a little bit.
All slept. Can't
Yeah, now it's definitely over 21 meters. And again, you missed 2 shots. So not only do you not get optimal healing per second, but also you miss shots. And you have to nade because you missed those 2 shots. You have to nade, which means you don't have the nade for the Genji when he dives in here. Maybe you could have killed the Genji a little easier, right? These little mistakes kind of snowball up. But yeah.
Okay, Nano Monkey to dive the Widow.
Okay, good order. Boom. Nano. Oh, nice sleep.
Slept on me.
Okay, I'm jumping on all in one. I'm on the healer. I'm on the Zen.
So your aim, I think it's pretty decent. You know, like I'm looking at your aim. I'm looking at the way you hit your sleeps. You know, you definitely shouldn't be down in diamond. So it's really just the other stuff. So, but from this point on, you made a good call. Let's go with Nana Winston. What could you be calling now as well?
That they're down their DPS, but that we're also down our tanks. We have spawn advantage, so
But now
we
what?
could play slow.
No,
like
no, no.
from-
Forget that.
Okay.
You see this? What do you say? Or what do you do?
I'm going top right, can't heal for a few seconds. Because I think that's rotation I make? I don't know.
What's even better?
Pressure point.
Yeah. But what can you tell these guys?
They don't have Widow. They're on a nade.
No, doesn't
Wait,
matter.
we don't have anyone to dive her.
If you look at what happens now.
Dwarf's one to your right, Hanzo. Literally one.
Taking point.
What just happened?
I left my Zen alone,
Mm-hmm.
and he died. So,
I'm on the healer. I'm on the Zen.
shh.
I'm out of measure.
Again.
So I should have gone with my Zen there. rather
Go
than
go
top
with him or say Zen, come right with me.
right. Okay.
But especially when they have flankers, they have wrecking ball. Never split like this. Yeah, you guys have to stick together. I think in this situation, probably the right play maybe is to just go right side into point like that. But going high ground and taking over this space is fine too. But you just can't leave him alone like this. You both can't split. So you see this.
There we go.
You either go with him or you say Zen, come with me, and then you read what he does. Because now he's like, if you realize that, oh wait, I can't push there. Our tank just died, so I have to make this rotation. But he makes that read slower than you, and you saw that he was making the read slower than you. But like you did nothing to do that, and then he has to cover this space, and now he's dying, right?
That's part of me not realizing what the opponents are gonna do.
Mhm.
I didn't think about them
Mhm.
diving our Zen.
But you also, anytime it's a scrappy fight, you know that you have a small. It felt like you guys obviously have way more map control, right? So in this situation, you guys cleared the high ground, you forced them back. Your Winston created all of this space for you, so you have a small advantage. You have you can potentially take the high ground. So you want to protect that lead. You know, you have a lead, but it's a marginal lead, so you want to stick together. You don't want to throw it away. So. You know, just even calling, you know, stick together, make sure we go together. Let's go together right side. Very important.
Yeah, alright. I thought the ball was coming towards me there.
Because you don't really need to drop high ground there. I don't think. It's not terrible to drop there, but yeah.
We still have someone coming from spawn, don't we?
Not sure. But that's something you should check as soon as you capture it. As soon as you capture a checkpoint on this map, that's where you should check. You know.
I think our Zen got long spawn and we try to push forward without him.
Yeah, and again, if you are in that position, you do this in the second round where you are the spawner and you say, "Come and boost me," and you make sure that your teammates don't push in 5 versus 6. Most
need to
people
check
most people
that.
don't have microphones, they won't do that. So you check that, you call for someone, go boost this guy up. Wait, guys, don't push yet, right? And you avoid a very, very simple mistake that can throw the game.
Almost have nano.
No problem. Okay, I'm gonna jump in.
All slab top right.
On the widow.
Alright, hold up. I'm about to ult into point. 3, 2.
Got one. Alright, two. Nice. Get the point. Get the point.
Huge. Towards slab.
Oh, on the left. Careful, widow behind. Widow behind you. Widow behind you.
Ah shit, I'm dumb.
Hmm.
On the left. Careful, widow.
I give up high ground.
Towards slab.
I could have just backed over to the right, but I was trying to get an LOS on the Zen.
Yeah, you can get LS from here. Yeah, I'm generally not a huge fan of giving up high ground voluntarily, because obviously it gives you a lot of options. Say Hanamura, second point, you guys clear the high ground, so you have point pressure, like you guys do. You have point pressure here. You wouldn't really drop voluntarily, right? Like maybe there are situations where you would if you're getting pushed or
Unless
whatever.
they have a widow coming out of spawn,
Exactly.
and you go
Yeah.
right by the mini.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Behind. Widow behind you. Widow behind you.
Ah shit.
if possible, try to not give it up voluntarily.
That
And-
doorway is a decent position though, isn't it? Like where
Yeah.
I just leave right here.
Yeah, you have corners to hide behind. It's a good distance. The same thing in Hanamura. If you're forced down on the ground on Hanamura, you won't stand on the point. You will stand like on the bridge, right? Roughly. Because now your front line is here and you're very, very close, right? So if someone jumps you, they can jump you as well, and you might have nade prematurely.
And I also have no cooldowns, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like now only Zen got hit by the nade, or like maybe 2 people got hit by a nade, but you could have easily gotten hit by a nade too.
Shouldn't be here.
You know, unless you really need to 3x and you don't have the manpower to do that, then better to stay safer. Okay. What should you do now? What should you say now?
Tracers on our Zen, left of point.
What is even better? That is a very important and good information call.
We're down our widow, their widow's back
No.
right.
In this situation, that is the last thing.
Oh.
You see this?
Zen go, or Zen back up. So I try to call out LOS. I think he's facing the tracer, so left, like his left to get LOS to me.
What if you forget the Zen, what can you communicate to the rest of your team?
They nano tracer.
No, everyone knows Nano Tracer. They saw him coming out.
5v6.
No, that's also information. Is there an order you can give to the rest of the team?
We're down 1, Tracer's on Zen, we're down 1.
Because right now the situation is like this: your front line is fighting, while their Tracer on his own is zoning the entire backline. So no one is getting heals.
You have no
And this-
heals right now.
That is a decent call, but what is even better? Is this a sustainable way? If you consider it like this, they have better spawns. You guys have point pressure, but they have better spawns. And right now, Tracer is fighting you guys 1 versus 2 and basically cutting off heals on the entire team. Is this a way to win the fight? Is this sustainable to win the fight like this?
No, especially when we're already down 1, and they have
Yeah.
the spawn advantage coming out, so
So you
Should
want to negate you need to prevent this situation. You need to make sure that this situation doesn't stay like this for more than necessary, right?
right.
So what kind of order can you give to the rest of the team to make sure that this situation is resolved?
I don't know if I should call them back to like focus the tracer so we get her down faster. Cause they're not, close enough, if they have their movement abilities, they would have to use those. So,
So you don't know whether they do or they don't, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if you don't call, you never know. Maybe they do, and they could help you. Maybe they don't. But as long as you communicate, you open up for the possibility of them coming to help you. And if you don't say anything, then nothing's going to happen. Then they will have to make that read on their own, but you're not helping them make that read.
okay, so Tracer's on our Zen, left of point. We're down our Widow, there's his back right.
Way too wordy. What are 2 words? There's 2 words you need to say here.
Tracer, or help Zen.
Boom. There we go. We got it. Help Zen or peel Zen. Everyone peel Zen.
Not a location?
Location if you can. Back point, sure. If you have time, that's fine too. But most important thing, peel Zen. Everyone peel Zen. Or Tracer's on Zen, peel him, or whatever. Maybe repeat that call, because this has to stop. And if just someone else is shooting him, if you called that before then, this guy's dead. Maybe you guys can win the fight, right? Now you can already make this call. Tracer pushing on Zen, help him, and then maybe someone even tickles him.
So in a situation like this, it's better to heal the Zen than damage the Tracer, right?
Yeah, you have to keep the Zen up, especially since he's not.
But also wondering, because I think the Tracer gets down to 1 health, and I was wondering if I should try to put that last shot into hit her, or just keep healing Zen, hope he hits the shot.
So who does it favor? If this is if you kill him but he dies, who does it favor? Who does a one
defense?
Exactly.
Defense, because they have spawn advantage. So
Exactly.
heal Zen.
Yeah, there you go. Ask for help because you can't clear that. You can't diffuse the threat on your own. And yeah.
Dude, regroup.
Let's scroll forward a bit. Okay, your Hanzo fed.
Honest all the way back left. Let's go bottom left.
We're down 1.
I know. Go bottom. Hanzo will be back.
So I already like this guy because this is a main tag that is talking. He's talking to you. So you want to return the favor and talk to guys like that as much as possible to make sure that your execution is clean, right? There's a lot of people who don't talk, but you want to reward them, and you want to, because if you say something to him, he's going to respond, and you need to leverage that in a ranked game as much as possible. But now you're really not saying anything. You listen to what he said, but you're not really returning the favor. You could be saying, okay, I'm 80. Take some damage.
I think right before you started talking, I said I was close to Nano, but I didn't direct it at him. I guess.
That, I'm dumb.
And then now you're saying, like this stuff.
I did not mean to press that. I'm dumb.
Waste of energy and waste of focus. You're focusing on the wrong thing. You guys have the advantage. You guys are making the push, and you're talking about you being dumb. So now it's a different issue. Now we're not talking about you blaming others. Now you're putting yourself down. Whatever. You're gonna miss sleeps. You're not gonna hit every sleep. No one hits every sleep. It literally doesn't matter, right? So who cares? You missed a sleep. Big deal. Focus on what is this is the only thing you need to focus. Getting up my Nano and talking with my Winston. I almost have it.
That was actually just missing my control key.
Yeah, but
I didn't even mean
my point isn't how you missed it or whatever, or if you make a mechanical mistake, or if it's a fat finger. I don't care. It's just you don't need to, degrade yourself, right? Take responsibility for your mistakes, but don't say that you're dumb or you're stupid or you fucked up. Yeah, maybe you fucked up, but focus on the game. Then when the fight is over or when the round is over, then reflect on your mistakes a little more closely and refocus. But it's just as soon as something bad happens, it seems like you have this tendency to either flame yourself if you messed up, or kind of put it on your teammates. Even though you don't do it in voice chat, you do it internally.
Okay.
Olympus Tiger, thanks for the follow.
Nano again. Nano again.
I'm on the helix.
So what can you do? So you say I can nano again? What else can you add to make this a little smoother? Because you know that this guy is a talker.
Monkey, you can dive their supports. I'll nano you. That's kind of long.
No,
can nano monkey to dive?
Yeah, you already called that. You already said.
Okay. The positions I see.
No. But what can you tell him specifically, or what can you ask of him, of another fellow communicator, to help you? Foden, thanks for the follow.
I don't know.
You can say,
Can nano again?
I can nano monkey call when you want it. And then because you know he's a talker, he's gonna respond to you, and he's gonna call it like a split second before he uses it, because you don't know when he's gonna jump, and it's not a good use of your time to stand and wait for him to jump, because he's gonna look for an opening, but you might waste a couple of seconds maybe healing him, or healing this, or maybe finding a nade opening if you would have a nade. You don't in the situation, but you don't want to have that hiccup, and because he is a talker, use that and ask for him to give you information as well. I can nano you whenever. Ask for it, Winston. Okay, I'm going now. Boom, you nano him. Then you can focus on him. You can even maybe zoom in and heal someone here. He says, give it to me now. You zoom out and you immediately know what you're going to do. You guys have already set up this through an effective minigame. But now he's jumping out of your LOS because you thought he was going to jump, but then he didn't jump, so you move around the corner.
Yes.
And I have to go, and now it's late. So I think he probably got to land before you nanoed him, or maybe you nanoed him.
It gets the assist, so I think I nanoed him right before he landed.
Yeah, probably. But you can see how close it was to you not doing that, and it's just because you weren't ready. Rightfully, you wanted to heal your Zarya, but initially you were like, "Are you gonna jump?" And you can see how like just this little communication can solve that issue.
All right.
Or just make life easier for you.
Where's the honor? Got her.
Okay, I'm dumb. Ball's purple on me.
Again, you're not dumb. You just missed a sleep. Happens.
Should not be focusing back there right now.
Yeah.
Polo.
But it's okay. You have a Widowmaker and he clicked heads. Yeah. See, good aim. Like mechanically, you're playing pretty well. You're misusing your nade a little bit. You're missing some sleeps, but your aim is good. If you just fix that and your attitude is correct and your positioning is correct, I think you can get to Grandmaster pretty easily, honestly, and pretty quickly. It really, again, depends on how quickly you fix your mental game.
All right.
All right, let's see next round.
Two's still coming back. Got Genji ball, Widow again. Ball's going top left stairs.
I'm gonna go on the
Both of us went to, gave up our position to go try to heal him. Or all three of our supports actually went to try to peel that
Yeah.
Widow body shot.
Yeah,
Ball's going top left stairs.
when he could just
I
potentially get-
could have called Brig
Yeah,
behind, heal behind.
Yeah, or I can't heal you, Hanzo. Whatever. Because you going like this to give him a lick of heals is not really worth it. You say, I can't heal you. You stay high ground, maybe your Lucia goes, or maybe your Brig turns around, or whatever. You don't have to order and micromanage what this guy does, but you can at least give him, I can't heal you. Because in reality, you can't heal him here.
Okay.
I can't heal you, peek me, or whatever. Come to me, or whatever it may be.
I think the reason I did this is because I didn't think he could cross left to get into our LOS without dying to the Widow.
No, yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna point. It's too much.
And he probably can't, but Brig could have potentially healed him.
Yeah.
But it's also important for him that he knows that he doesn't get heals. And now again, you guys lost control of the high ground. You set up your back line here. I mean, your front line here. You position yourself here. Fine. You can't really push up high ground unless you guys have control there. So much better positioning here. you know. And now there's not as much pressure on you. You see the whole team. You can make much better decisions. The game is immediately much easier, right?
Yes.
Good heal, good heal. Bubble and three.
Good nade. You hit several people,
Move it up. Now.
which again, that's something you're gonna be able to do when you.
Put a one.
Um,
I'll slap high ground.
when you see things when you stand further back, but now again, now you have to keep adjusting. Now you've killed a couple of people. Your front line is here. You have some people pushing here. No one's on the point anymore, so you have to be moving up now as well, right? So
Right.
always read the movement of these guys.
Should I just go to that lower right side? Or should I take the longer rotation to the high ground?
It's
'Cause,
up to you.
I won't be able to see the tanks for a few seconds if I go around to the stairs.
Yeah, just read the situation. Are they low? Do they need heals right now, or are they fine? You know, if they need heals right now, then you might stay there, heal them. If not, if they're fine, if they just get a kill, then you might move up. But you know, as long as you start making the rotation, you can make the read. And then if they jump back, if they are low and they jump back, then you don't even have to go top. You go like this. If they're healthy and they don't need heals, then you go top. So just read the situation. That's why I said why it was so important on the second point, because when you pushed up, remember with the second point defense, when you pushed up with your DPS, it was a right play 2 seconds earlier, but as soon as your tanks take too much damage and they fall back, now that's the wrong play, you know?
Okay.
So it all changes, it all shifts. Because now in this situation, if you would have started making that rotation, you would have read, okay, this guy and this guy didn't need heals, and you would already be up here because your front line is controlling this, and you would be here. Good distance management. You're moving with your front line, and if they were low, you would have stayed and healed them. So no, and now you can't heal. You can't nade, right? Because you haven't made the rotation. You were just stationary and stuck here. These guys should be able to get heals, but they don't. And your brig is making the same mistake, right? Like your brig should be up there too. Your brig does absolutely jack shit here.
The brig mistake might even be off of my mistake.
Maybe.
She might have stayed down there because I was there. So like if I was up better, it would have been doubly better.
Yeah. Or if this is so obvious, like eventually this will become automatic to you, to the point where you won't have to think about where to go. You will just automatically react to what your front line does, and then you will see other people making this mistake, and then you will be good enough, and it's going to be automatic that you'll be able to tell them, come top, right? And then you can prevent them from making the mistakes. But then you first have to get to the point where it's automatic, where you don't have to even think about this.
Someone's inside.
And now you guys have to give up high ground control, or this guy has to jump up, and you guys get split because you're not, moving up together. Now Diva's left side, maybe she could get hit and shot and.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
He asked if I was ready, so I was watching him. He moves back into the doorway for a second. I heal the Diva, and that's when he jumped.
Yeah, you get baited, but also, again, I think you can just add call when you need it, and then he will call before he jumps, because he says ready, and then he just jumps. But then you give him, just call when you're going in. I'm going now, and then you would be able to flick quickly to him, and then you would focus on healing him again, right?
Right.
But now you don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he doesn't want to go anymore. Maybe he doesn't. Ideally he provides info. I can't go yet or something, but if you ask him to provide info, if he is a talker, you can get it out of him. But now, like, you're in a really shitty situation.
I tried to get on your bed there.
And now you nano. Now
At
it's a
that
waste.
point, it doesn't even get any value.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do
Yeah, and that nade, like you don't have to nade. So watch this the previous review, and we talk a lot about nade usage there and how you get value and how you should think about using your nades. Long story short, you just try to avoid using it on singular targets unless you absolutely have to, unless it is to save someone that is guaranteed to die, or if it's on a target that you can 100% kill.
Okay.
In this situation, he's not about to die. So you don't have to go for this nade. Even if you hit this nade, it's not a great nade.
Someone, Genji's anti.
You do hit Genji, but Now you. This is what you would have needed your nade for, right? This.
Someone Genji's anti GC.
Would the nade get value on the ball?
If this guy doesn't give you armor, you die.
Oh, right. I would have died. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how you should look at the nade usage. You know, just using on a diva that is half HP, not a great idea because this guy might come for your ass, right? And if this guy is bad and he doesn't armor you, you die. If you die, you lose the game. Or if you miss the sleep, maybe because he hit the armor, you don't die. But yeah. You know, I don't know if you could have crossed. You don't really know the Widow position, but ideally with this nade you want to hit him and yourself, right? Then it's good value because you need to be topped up, and he needs a lot of burst healing because the enemy is pushing up. Better value, but again, you don't know where the Widow is, so yeah.
Huge beat.
Nice. You compliment your teammate. Very important. Anytime someone does something good, compliment them. Good for team synergy. Okay, I won't go too much into this. I think you can just, again, watch the one I did with Swoo, because I talk a lot about how to deal with Genji in an optimal way. Most important thing that you have to pay attention to is you still have beat, which means you can tank a swing. If you can tank a swing, you don't have to rush your sleep, right?
Right.
Much easier to hit the sleep now. Obviously, if you don't have the beat, if you were just like 200 HP, you have to go for that sleep, because if you don't hit him there, he's gonna kill you anyway and get another reset. But because of the beat, because of the situation, you can go for it.
I have caught myself a couple times where I get bladed and I just immediately go for the sleep, and then afterwards I'm like, I should have tanked one swing, nading myself to give myself more time to get a better sleep option.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we go through really in depth, so you can watch that, and I think it's going to help you a lot. You know, even if he doesn't have nano and you are 200 HP and you have both of these cooldowns, you're going to go for the sleep immediately because he's scared. If you nade yourself, you can tank 2 swings and a swift strike if no one else is shooting you, and then you're going to be 10 HP. You know, if you nade yourself. So that is an incredible amount of time where you can set yourself up for an easier sleep. And here the situation is a little different. He's nanoed, but you have the beat, so you have a little bit of a cushion to potentially wait for him to dash through you, and then much easier sleep, as you saw.
I can't play top right because of Widow. So I guess I play down here.
You consider your positioning. You're productive. You're productive between fights.
I like this positioning against the Widow because I can peek either
Yeah.
side depending on which one she's at.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything too wrong with this. What do you think about this nade?
I was trying to use it to help the monkey dive. I overshot it a bit, but it wasn't even the best value, even if I landed it.
Exactly. That's a big. I think that's the. Well, first of all, if you paid attention between fights, almost as ult, right?
Right.
If as soon as you see this before the fight, you can make a mental note that if someone else is in trouble and Winston is in trouble, Winston will not be my priority because he has ult.
I was trying to nade more for the anti than like healing.
Yeah, but you're still making a huge
still, yeah,
gamble.
it wasn't the best value.
I think you actually hit it. It's pretty good, but it is kind of a gamble.
Genji's low, use deflect.
I'm on the Zen, I'm on the Zen.
Like,
Almost died to the Widow.
yeah, I don't mind going for these long range nades, but I think when you flick and you go for this nade, you don't really know what you're aiming for. You're just shooting somewhere in the general direction and hoping it hits. You know, because you were focusing on this and then you turn on this. Because in general, like if you could hit him and potentially hit another target, a Zen or someone else, terrific value. You know, you can potentially get great value. But like when I look at your movement, it feels like you just,
Deflect.
I'm on the Zen, I'm on the Zen.
you know, I don't think you're.
I didn't take the time to assess the situation. Yes, I did that thing where I assume they'd be playing behind that wall where like maybe like their Ana could heal him from like main,
Yeah.
or they would have the mini.
Goading. Wait, why are we on
We're
Mercy?
Zen, we're Zen.
Bad.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Widow's top left.
Now you can use the nade to heal yourself potentially.
They're
You know,
all-
you don't want to hit a nade on
Oh, okay.
a solo
Widow's
Hammond.
top left again.
Oh my gosh.
Good call. You play safe.
I think
Walls.
I have Nano Winston. Call when you need it. Okay, I'll call.
We have nano, that's good. You can nano like when they push in.
he does it for me.
Yeah, but you don't say anything
I
back.
shouldn't rely on that.
Fuck, I'm bad.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
But if he says call when you want it, then he would probably call that he's pushing up, because you're responding back to him.
Such a
And then you would position yourself differently too. But yeah, you can see how you can hook up with that Winston, and the two of you can carry the game pretty easily. You guys end up winning this. Then you guys go the strong comp on offense and just collect the free win. This is what I do every ranked game I play. I just ask if my team wants to go goats.
Bastion.
so
Hmm.
I get split here. I don't. If they called like a direction they were going,
They're Bastion.
then that's definitely on me. I should have seen the Zarya going left, but their right was our Ryan was facing right out of choke, so I was gonna go with him in the shield, and then he turned around while I ducked to try to hide my head hitbox. Which yeah, it's still on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Perfect.
just making excuses right now.
Nice. Exactly. Great. I love it that you just realized that, because okay, so let's play this through. You flank, you clutch, you kill Diana, you kill the Diva, but it's still not a good play because you got split up and you could easily get killed if they had a little more awareness. But if you listen to yourself here,
I did not know they were gonna go left.
Well, we
If they
can't
said
lose.
something, that's entirely my fault, because I
I think
didn't hear
I think they're keeping.
yeah. So you say if they said, then it's entirely my fault because I didn't hear. But like you just said and you just admitted, it's entirely your fault regardless, because you didn't. Can you finish this game and say, yeah, on that second attack on first point, I did everything I humanly could to put us in a position to win? No, you didn't. You didn't ask the Reinhardt where you wanted to go. You didn't tell him where you wanted to go. You know, if he's not a talker, you can say, Reinhardt, let's go right side, okay? And then if you see that he doesn't go right side, then you still have to go with him, but you've tried your best. If he's a talker, Reinhardt, where do you want to go? Or Reinhardt, want to go left? Okay, let's go left, right? Because if you look at it from his point of view, like no one else is really talking to him. Half of his team went here, you went here, so he's just like, well, fuck, my team is going here, I have to react and help them, right? But if you just said, Reinhardt, call where you want to go before the fight, that's it. Then you just have to wait until he calls, we need to go left, I need to help his teammates. Then you get that information, you don't make that mistake, you help him as well, right?
So yeah, the Ryan was doing better than me here in that he wanted to go right, but then realized the team was going left, so he adjusted, and I didn't.
Yeah. The biggest thing is you can also prompt him, you know, like he gets a little discouraged from calling everything, or like there's crucial information that you need from him, but he's not always going to give it to you if you don't prompt him. But he's clearly very willing to talk back if you do prompt him. So what is crucial information for you to know as a Zenyatta? Which way is my shield gonna go? Because I have to follow the shield. And if you prompt him to make that informational call, then you will get that information from a player like that. Right?
And then at this point, I might have just stayed here, but someone did make the call that Ana was alone there, so
Yeah.
I thought that's probably the best value I can get after I split myself off.
Yeah, it's whatever. At that point, it's kind of whatever.
I think they're keeping Bastion though.
yeah, they're still in Bastion for now at least. Hey, Lucio, can you speed me? I'm behind. Lucio.
Yeah, you call, can you speed me, Lucio? I'm behind, and it takes him 5 seconds to react. which is what it's going to take at this rank, which is why it's very important that you do these fundamentals, that you check if someone is coming back and you give them a notice, because everyone has like, they're going to react 5 seconds too late on things. But you avoid the situation where your team is about to make a mistake and push in with 5.
Doomfist is up top. Doomfist is on the.
Same thing here, Ryan. Where do you want to go? Because you're like, what the fuck? Where are we going?
Bottom right.
Zarya behind you.
Well, now he says.
Hogs discorded.
Hog hack, kill hog. In the middle.
Don't mind the reload. I think not bad.
Hog hack.
You right click and you reload, because there's nothing you can right click anyway. You don't want to start the fight with 12. There's really nothing you can discord. So yeah, good reload here, I think.
Balls discorded. Doom.
Fire point.
Reaper discorded your right side.
Fire point.
Reload, right?
All right.
Don't want to charge right click here. Like you're charging, even if nothing is going on the left side, you push out here. You should right click. You go into your reload animation. You don't. Discord is gonna by the time you release this right click, Discord is gonna drop. You don't have a harmony orb, so you're gonna head into a reload, and you're not gonna be able to push out orbs, and you're gonna delay your damage output by reloading at that time. Whereas in reality, when you're moving this way, you have nothing to shoot. So perfect time to recharge.
Your right side.
Now you see him. You hit a shot, but say, what if you missed that shot? What if you missed one of the shots? Then maybe he kills you, right?
Yeah.
Ball hack on point.
If you reload, you're not even having that dilemma.
Reaper discorded. One, use raise. Hog discord.
Good calls here.
Hog hack.
There you go.
I didn't want to get bursted by the Doomfist, so in case he did get on point, I just reacted.
Yeah. Good comms there. In the end, you stopped being negative because you guys started winning. Right? I saw a lot less negative talk from you because you started winning. So if we go back to Aggie.io, the paint program, just reiterating. Wait, where's my brush? Why is my brush not working? Okay, for some reason my brush isn't working. But regardless,
I saw a small line for a second, then it went away.
oh, there we go. So, attitude number 1. I think even in this review, you made progress because you started making the same excuse you made in game for that last play, and then you're like, oh fuck, you caught yourself. I'm making an excuse, and that's the most important thing. That's the only way you solve that issue, is if you catch yourself and you're honest with yourself. And the fact that you were able to do that, 1.5 hours into the review and notice that tendency, that's the first step to solving it. So I'm very happy that you did that and continue to do that. Okay. Beyond that, yeah, like calming more consistently. You're a decent talker. You know sort of what to calm. Foden with a subscription. Thanks for the sub. Welcome to Mineral Miners. Calm more consistently. Especially reward your other people who talk by talking back to them. That's how you reward people, and then they were going to reward you back, and it's going to be a nice little synergy that you bring, and it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to make the game easier for you to play. And positioning, especially as it pertains to focusing on where your front line is moving. You saw that there's a lot of situations where you can avoid making mistakes if you're a little more dynamic and you move your front line. I think these are basically, we can chalk up this review to these 3 things, and I think they're pretty easy to remember and kind of follow going into your next ranked session. And like I said, I think from what I've seen, is at least on the Ana, I think your mechanics are pretty decent. You watched the reload video, so your reloads aren't terrible. There's obviously still improvement to be made, but they're not terrible. So I think if you solve this, I think you can, honestly, I think you can get to Grandmaster pretty quickly. Go on.
Yeah. This has been really helpful, and as is for a review, I was I obviously didn't pick like my best VOD, but like
Mhm.
this was probably about average. So that's a pretty typical game. So
This is the thing. I don't want to see you at your best. I don't want to see you when you're stomping and winning. That doesn't tell me anything about you. When I see you on your average or when I see you at your worst, that's when I can decipher, okay, you still have some work to do. If you are if you go from your if your A game is 4200 SR, but your F game is 3000 SR, and it takes losing 3 games to go from A to F, then you're probably a 3,500 player, right? Just balancing out averages. If this is really easy to do to you, if you make this transition really quickly, then you don't deserve this rank. But then the good news is that if you can manage to find a way to reach your kind of A game consistently, then you can reach this rank. You know, you're not going to be inhibited by your mechanics or anything else. It's just these things. So, yep. Any other questions? Any ideas? Anything else you want to talk about before we tune out?
as a sort of recap, like more fight planning and thinking about what I need to do during the fight will help with positioning. I calm more with plans and like what I'm doing, and also like stop making mistakes and planning between, or stop making excuses and planning between fights will help with like tilting and my attitude towards the game.
And positioning.
Yes.
Just again, watching your frontline, very easy way to sort of again, there's so much more that goes into positioning, but following your frontline and paying attention to your frontline as a starting kind of as a starting point, I think it's very good, and that's going to give you a very solid foundation, and then after that you can sort of work from that. All right, we'll end it there then. Thank you for your for joining me.
Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'll definitely check out that Sue VOD.
All right, take care. Thanks for watching, guys. To keep supporting this type of content and the channel, hit the magical subscribe and like buttons. Also, make sure you hop onto the Mineral Miners Discord to join the community and potentially take advantage of some coaching. You can find the link in the description box down below.